Okay, good day, guys. I'm sorry, I can't even get the my words out, but I'm gonna try to do this real quick before my phone shut off. And if it do, then the next time you see me, I'll be inside. So, it's been a while since I did a garden update. Number one, I mean, I'm still gardening. A lot of times I just don't film. Sometimes I do film, and I just decided not to post. No real reason. This video is about, pretty much you're going to do a lot of struggling, especially as a beginner garden. Even now, I don't consider myself a beginner gardener. I think I'm now a little bit more seasoned, not an expert gardener, but it's to show those that's out there, no matter what climate you're in, no matter what area you're in, um, you can find just about anything to plant with. Hi guys, welcome to an update of Lovelady's Garden, as well as a little chit chat with Lovelady. I know I haven't posted in a while, but I want to explain what's going on right here in this clip. You see, you won't see me actually talking to you, therefore I'm doing a voiceover. So I am now watering the back of my plants, my garden. I will show you in a clip after here, after this one. I starts in the back where my big little swimming pool is at, and then I work my way to the front. It's a lot easier for me to start in the back, come to the front, and it's always at this time of day. It's the best time for me to get out and water my garden. For those of you that has garden and been gardening for a while, you have learned the concept. It's best to water earlier during the day or late in the evening. So for me, early in the day is best for me, even though I should be watering more than once a day. With this heat in this Central Texas heat, I only get out maybe once a day. And the best for me again because the mosquitoes are not as bad in the daytime in the morning. So I try to get up between 7 and 9 and go ahead and get the watering done. Now around 9 o'clock it's still burning up. Okay. So, and the the one in the back, which is the swimming pool, the baby pool, it takes the most watering because, of course, it's with the okra, and you can't get okra don't like to be super wet, but it don't like to be just bone dry either. So I do try to make sure that I'm getting that soil wet back there because sometimes you can think you're watering and it's getting down and it's just surface watering. So you have to be really, really careful of that as well. Doing a little quick spray and you think you didn't got down in those roots, you didn't. You kind of got to give it a good soaker. And with Texas heat, trust me, it's gonna soak up that water really, really quick. That's why I know I need to be doing it more than once a day. But hey, it's okra. Okra can stand to be a little dry at times. So me watering it once a day is not gonna hurt. And you will see also in the next clip that I do have those galvanized containers that I also plant in, and that has its own self-watering system in it. So I make sure that is filled to its limit in watering. So if I skip a day, it won't really be detrimental, but I do still try to water it every day and let the water that's at the bottom be kind of like a reserve. And because it's not see-through, I don't know how much water is in there. So I still try to go ahead and water it because with that, I can probably go every other day in this heat without doing a lot of watering, but I don't like to take a chance because of what's in it. Um, this pool here that you're seeing is full of okra, and it's having a rough start. Number one, because it is really getting beat up by the heat. And again, okra likes heat, but it also has its limits on how much it can take. So normally, once it start cooling down a little bit, get out of these triple digits, maybe in the lower 90s, something like that. You will see that this pool is going to be full of okra. In Texas, I mean, we really stay warm or hot enough for okra until dang near late October, at least from my experience. Sometime December, it just depends. on what the weather want to do. Over here I have an okra plant. I also have a Roma tomato in there. It's really ready to come out, but it still have a lot of green in it that I kind of don't want to pull it out. So I want to see if the okra plant is going to shade it enough for it to live. This is my tricue pepper plant, and I got this because I really liked the name, and it's tricky because it looks like a jalapeno. Most people think it's a hot pepper, but it's actually not a hot pepper. And they also have one called fuyu pepper, and I didn't find that one, while I was when I got this one here, but I got it because I really liked the name, and also with this one, I can cut that up and still use it in my dishes without it burning my mouth because it have no spice to it at all you know so as well as we have I have another okra plant that's at the front by the gate. So I normally go ahead and sprinkle that. I had some green beans in that. You'll see that as well on another clip. But it's taking off a little slower, but it's actually faster than what it's kind of like the ones that's in the back, and you will see that it's starting to flower as well. I have a few on the porch. I get to water. And they're hanging in, they're doing good, but I am considering bringing them in the house. Again, I may or may not. We'll see how that go. So, okay. Also, another part of the voiceover. I just didn't want it to be just dead silence. So, I will talk to you as I'm checking my plants to see what I need to take off, what I don't. You already see me do some watering. So now I'm just kind of checking to see what's ready. Also, what do I want to remove out of the garden space and give it room for something else for the fall. This is kind of one of those things where I really start making a decision how to move forward. Now, although it's super hot, sometimes I do make a decision. If I pull something out, I'm going to go ahead on and probably take a seed and do one of them go for what you know things and drop. Let me back that up. I'm going to normally what I do is I'll pull a plant that I feel like has lived its life cycle, and I will remove it out of the space that it's in. Um, do a little prepping, meaning I may put me a little bone meal, a little blood meal, Epsom salt or something, kind of rough it up, either let it breathe for a day or two, a watering cycle, and then I'll probably come back and drop a seed and I direct sow it. And it's something that can be direct sow, not something that really, really, really needs to be on the inside. Because number one, the heat will, if you start your seeds on the inside, a lot of times you need to put it on a heating pad. So sometimes I do use my natural elements as is heating pad. And some people never use heating pads, or anything like that, or grow lights. Sometimes I do, sometimes I don't. But if I feel like I may or may not run behind time with planting something, I'll go ahead on and just drop a seed or two in that empty space just to see if it's gonna come up. And in the meantime, I'll start something on the inside and let's see the best seed win kind of thing. Again, I've never been what you would consider just simply conventional because I always try different ways of either jump starting my plants, just seeing really what works for me because with Mother Nature, it's very, very unpredictable on your growing season. For at least for me, again, all this is just my experience and how I had to learn to navigate how I grow the things that I want in my area, within my situation. So, and it's a lot of times it's worked for me really, really well. So, but because it's been so much of triple digits, right now I'm just really scared to start anything, even direct sow, because it's so hot, and I just, I mean, I do play the sink or swim thing, but sometimes I just be like, it's not worth it. Now, I may or may not still do it because I do have a case. When I say a case full of seeds that I have allowed to expire a lot of times, because remember I said I was kind of going off season. Some seasons I was doing stuff, some season I wasn't doing stuff. But when I tell you I have boohoo loads of seeds, and they're not all valuable. You can save seeds, but you also have to make sure that you're replenishing them as well. You have to use them or you'll lose them, kind of thing. Now, unless you put them in like the freezer, special Ziploc bags, freezing them and preserving them that way, you may have a chance of using them, years down the line. But some of these seeds I've had for 3 to 4 years, and just that, I mean, we talking about fresh in the pack now. And I say that because some of the stuff that I started early during the season before it's the spring, some of them never caught. So I just lost out on it. And the things that didn't catch, I didn't worry about even trying to put out in the garden. I mean, it's just I don't stress over it. Um, yes, would I have liked for them to make it? Yeah, but they didn't, and I just said, you know what, I'm not stressing over it. Just we'll try again later, another time. But what I've learned is after I evaluate a lot of my seeds, and I'm looking like these seeds are really old. Some of them are from like 2022, 2023. I don't even know if it's a 2020 in there. I'm not sure, but I just know that I have been preserved, keeping them. And, in my mind, and again, this goes back to, learning as a gardener, the do's, the don'ts, and what you can and cannot do. In my mind, I'm thinking they've never been open, so they'll always be viable. Well, that's not true. So you do have to try to use them. Now, like I said, they're not always viable just by because they haven't been open, but maybe if you freeze them, they may or may not be. I have to research that myself, but I can tell you I have cases and cases and cases of fresh, never used. Well, I'm not gonna say fresh, I'm gonna say never used seeds, never been open, but the last few times I've tried to use them, they have not sprouted. So some have, some haven't. I don't know if it's just what you're planting, what you're not, because all of my okra seeds that I planted, those are I've been having them for a while. So I don't know if it's something special about okra or not, but hey, that's what it is. Some of my tomato plants didn't, some of my bell peppers or peppers didn't sprout. Um I don't know, but this is what I'm doing right now. I'm really just, like I said, checking my stuff. I'm harvesting things off my pepper plant, and I will show you in the next clip, what I've took off. And these particular ones I took off, I'm just gonna discard them because really they didn't even grow large enough. I think that they was just part of the overcrowdedness and of that particular plant. So I wanted to see if me taking some off, if that'll help the other ones grow. So I'm gonna show you um, what I've collected in this particular basket. Again, in the Hi next clip.
guys. Whew. So what you see me do, I was out trimming things and cutting back things, and here I have a basket of my lilac bell peppers and Anaheim peppers that needed to be trimmed back. I did not come out here and water yesterday. It looks terrible, but I was in my mood yesterday. It was hot. I just didn't feel like doing it. So right now I'm just taking back to look. These green beans they burnt up. Uh, this is my okra that caught. I'm sorry for the sniffles. Okay, I did cucumbers in here. They did pretty good. So I love these baby poos, these kiddie poos. I only did green beans in this. And from the jump, they started kind of growing, but the heat took them out real quick. It was just too hot. So Anaheim, poblano, lilac bell peppers right there. I can't remember these here. They're little sweet peppers. These are Carmen. Carmen peppers. These are giant macarons. And I have basil down here, jalapenos right here. I only got like 3 or 4 off of here. I mean, it's bad when the sun, when the heat, when things that normally grows in the heat is struggling. It's very, very hot. Over here on my giant, I think those are my yellow golden bell peppers. I mean, they haven't flowered in a while, but they're still green. It's just so freaking hot. One of my last cucumber plants. I don't expect to get anything else off of here. I just need to go ahead and pull it, but I haven't yet. So just to see, it's really too hot for these cucumbers, at least in my where I have them at. And this is my green zebra striped tomato. This is still vibrant, guys. So I'm hoping it can hold on into possible fall. I'm moving, y'all. I don't like to stay still. My sweet banana peppers. My I think it was just those are my giant green peppers. I have an okra here. Got some basil under there. Okra, and these are some trick you bell peppers. Got an okra coming here. 2 of them actually. This pool is nothing but okra. It's struggling, but okra, it can take a while. This heat is not it's not his friend either. And hey, I'm just gonna let it do what it do. As it cool off, it will still spruce up. But yeah, so I'm just gonna get back to watering and then we'll talk. Guys, so I made it inside. It's too hot. I was able to get some of that um film for you, which the first part when it cut off, that was the day before. So I was able to go out there early this morning and kind of get some footage for you. But I do want to say that you have to kind of do what's best for you. And I say that over and over again because I hear a lot of people saying, why you don't do this, why you do this, why do this. It's one thing with giving, some suggestions, some hints, something to think about, but question why someone don't do something. Sometimes they didn't do it because they didn't know they can do it, right? Or they didn't know, and they clearly told you that they're a beginner or they've never done it before. So but for you guys that's out there that's beginners or learning, we all have to learn somewhere, start somewhere. Don't get discouraged, but take it as a learning curve, your mistakes, your trials, your errors, and learn from them, and you will figure it out. Um, I had to do that myself, and I still say I'm not an expert gardener at all. I'm still learning a whole lot of stuff, but what I am good at is what I took my time to learn and kind of I don't want to say master, but made it to the point where I can actually eat and live and cook, pull it out the garden and eat it. It's a lot of things that I won't grow again, at least at this point, because it can break your heart, to start growing something, and I mean, especially something that take a long time to grow, and a little animal come and get it, right? So I had that experience with my watermelon. As much as I just want to grow watermelon again, whatever ate my first watermelon, it broke my heart. So I know I don't grow it anymore. Same thing with my cabbage. I had big luscious cabbage, purple and green, and those freaking slugs. You know what happened? Same thing with squash and my zucchini. Me and bugs don't get along. So if this particular bug is what's taking out my squash, I just don't grow the squash. You know what I'm saying? I mean, I'm not gonna say never, ever, ever in life I won't grow it again, but it's been a minute, right? So it broke my heart, and I can say that because I'm not gonna sit here and pull off a bug and squish it. I am terrified of bugs. I don't care. You don't have to be terrified of bugs, but I am, and I stay in my lane. I'm a tomboy, but I'm just not the bug person. Okay, so yeah, but
I say, I'm saying all this here, and I'm doing an update, because this is a part of my little chit chat rant. Oh Lord, when I say life been life, and for the last 8 years in the process of me learning how to garden and can and build projects and use certain tools. I'm not that woman that's been scared to use certain things or try things. I've never been that one. I'm not gonna sit here and tell you I have never been what you call a girly girl. Yes, at some point in my life, I wanted to wear my heels, I wanted to have my skirts, I wanted to have my hair done, nails done. But I've always one of the ones that always slowed down and pump my brakes. I've never been a wild and woolly girl. But yes, I started really thinking about what was important to me, what made me happy. And always just being with my hair nails done, just acting just, can't get dirty and all that stuff. That wasn't me. Now I never overcame bugs. I'm just sorry. That was just something I just never overcame. But I'm trying to make this so where it don't sound bad. I've never wanted to be looked as an object, as a woman, as a female. So I've always kind of dressed down or dressed comfortable, right? I've never been that type that just really was a very revealing person. Now, in my younger days, I tried it a little bit here, but I was uncomfortable. So I had to go back to what was comfortable for me. And for me was learning how to do brakes, learning how to change the oil, learning how to do certain things that, I felt like I would need if I didn't get married or if I didn't have a guy friend. Because, of course, in my younger days, I really didn't want to ever get married. Well, that was that because I got married twice. So, but here's the thing. I try to think logical. We're in a different time, and for me and for some of you ladies that's out there and starting to do this off grid stuff by yourself or homesteading or whatever it may be, you know, some of us are single. Some of us are single by choice. Now, I am married, but I'm saying in general, a lot of people are choosing to live a single life and still do their off grid or homesteading or their everyday living. But with that being said, you know, these are women that chose to say, "Hey, I'm gonna have to step up because I really don't have, this person to do it for me or help me out with doing it. So I have to learn how to fend for myself. I have to learn how to change that tire. I have to learn how to change that chainsaw chain. And I have to learn how to do an oil change or change a spark plug or you know build some kind of little structure or get up there and hang my gutters or whatever the case is." These are women that has stepped into reality. Say, "Hey, I may lose my husband. Something may take him out. Something may take me out." You know. So with that being said, I try my best to walk my husband through the garden with me, kind of show him when to pick, when not to pick, what to do, what not to do. Even when they get down to cooking certain things, I try to get him familiar with the kitchen. His mom told me he did know how to cook something, but trust me, this man, he know he got a woman that can. He tried not to do none of it, but he's coming around. I'm saying in the past he wasn't trying to do it. Um, he's learning a little at a time, and I tell him all the time, I'm not going to be here forever. One of us may go before the other. We may or may not have someone to help us out when we get in a tight squeeze to do certain things. So what are we going to do? Now I get it. Some of us are getting older. Those that is still breathing. Um, There's going to be some things that, as a single person, you're going to need help with. There's going to be some things that you don't need help with. But if you just simply just not going to try, that's a problem. You know what I'm saying? You're not going to make it too long anyway. But learning how to garden, learning when to garden, learning how to build, learning when to build can, whatever the case is, it's a step by step process. It's not an overnight process. And But the more you do it, the more you get better at it. You may not be perfect, but at least you have an idea. You have something to work with. And I used to tell my students at school when I used to work with them, and I was always in a teacher assistant. I wasn't a teacher, but trust me, I had to leave some classrooms. I had to step up when it was time to step up. But if you never try, you'll never know, right? But the main thing you try to get people to understand, or at least put it in their mind, you can be, you're not going to be the best or come in first in everything. I always compare it to a sports team. You can be good at everything, but you're not going to be the best in everything. It's a big difference. You can learn by following others, listening to others, observing, picking and choosing what may or may not work for you. Just because someone is giving advice or showing you something, no, it doesn't mean you always have to take their advice as face value or say, hey, this is what's going to absolutely work for me. But it gives you some kind of reference point to say, hey, it's not going to hurt for me trying because what I'm doing is not working, right? So and that's what we have to do now in society because everything is changing so fast. And I'm gonna stop ranting on that part because I think we get the logistics of that. Uh, so also, another thing I've always wanted to talk about is what Miss Lovelady or whatever you talk about this, you talk about that, or you're always on everyone else's page, saying this and why are you not doing? Why you? Because it's not my timing. You know what I'm saying? I've always believed when it's your time, and God will give you that green light to go forward. For whatever reason it is, you know, um, I'm asked to be still, right? Maybe it's just to learn more, but also maybe it's for me to evaluate my situation because I do come with other problems for as health situations. And I have to make sure that I'm not acting out of impulse or Hmm, thinking that's what I want, right? Now, I have to ask myself, I'm just being honest, love lady being honest. I am terrified, and I say it all the time. You'll hear me, like I said, if you go back to any of my videos, you'll always hear me say it. I am terrified of bugs. And I hear this saying, them bugs I want you. Well, to me, they do. And I will probably break my neck from a bug, any kind of bug. I have thrown up. My husband's like, oh my God. I have thrown up because I smashed a roach. I can't do it. I will move if I see one too many mice. I will break loose. I don't care because I don't have to live in that kind of situation. Now, that one particular situation was just too much. I just had to go. I just had to go. Never in my life that I had ever, no. But although I have the desire to have my own property, my own land, and to be able to spread out and do some of the things that I would like to do, that comforts me, I have to make sure that I am personally able to sustain that because I can't run out there to my I'm scared of bugs, but I have a whole field that needs to be cut, and it's going to be bugs out there, right? What if I don't have equipment? Those things are expensive. What if I can't afford to pay someone to keep my 10 acres cut? Okay, well, let's say 5 acres of it cut. Because just say the five first acres, I was able to get cleared off or whatever, but you still have to maintain it. Even though, what if I can't afford a riding lawnmower to keep that particular part cut? Will I be able to afford a well if it don't have a well? Will I be able to afford a septic system if it don't have septic on it? Will I be able to? Will I still need to be on grid? What would that take? So I have to understand, okay, what is the purpose? Because I'm gonna say it like this here. Me wanting land is not necessarily about being off grid. Okay. If that's an opportunity that I can foresee, then yes, I probably would do it because of course we're all trying to limit our funds, reduce how much we're spending out. If I have to be on public water, I may have to do that. Maybe it's a temporary thing. I don't know. But those are things that I have to weigh off. I have to think about the what ifs. I have to think about if it's feasible for me. Can it be done with what I have coming in financially? Everybody's situation is different. So I don't judge anyone for one person is advancing in their off grid and a homesteading career versus somebody else that just started out that's maybe been doing it a year or two that's not as far as the person that came behind them. I don't like to compare because again, everybody's financial situation is different. So I know that I may or may not be one of those ones that's really slow going. And I look at my age, I don't want to be 60 when I'm finishing my property, getting it reconstructed. Then how long do I have to enjoy it? Right? Because we don't know. Even at my age now, you don't know when your number's up, and I'm not making that an excuse, but I'm saying it's factors that lead up to if I can jump out there if I can't. Also, I am married. We have to be on the same page. I'm not one of the ones that my husband don't want to do it. Oh, well, I'm gonna leave him. I'm just gonna go do this. I'm not fool. I'm not dummy. You know what I'm saying? I'm just not gonna do that. Sometimes it's just not for everybody. It's not everybody's calling. Now, I love to support all those that's off grid, especially those that I watch their channels. I do, I like to, if I can give them some inspiration, I will. Sometimes it's not for me to speak on everything, but if you do ask and I can, if I have some experience or whatever, I will. I'll share it. Um, but you have more experience than me at this point. You're already off grid, right? You already know what it feel like. What I know it feel like here, it's hot. I know when those bills come, I'm asking why they just won't let me get solar. Why I can't set up me a water system? Because let me tell you, you guys that did go off grid, okay, you was tired of those high bills. You was tired of high mortgages. You was tired of all your money that you're working for is going only on bills. You're not able to enjoy something you really want with your family. You can't go and enjoy life now. Depending on where you that in life, some people is able to keep a job and still be off grid. Some people is able to retire and be off grid. But if you know, like I know, even your retirement is something that you're gambling with because it's not what everybody think it is. People think, oh, you retire, you got boo boo money. That's not what it is, you know. But it's a good thing that some of you young guys are doing it now because it gives you time to slow down. Excuse me. It's time. It's give you time to start building now. So when you are at retirement age or close to it or halfway to it, you may be in a situation where you can actually like stop working for someone else and just enjoy what you built over the last 10 years. If it took you 10 years, if you're in your 20s and it took you 10 years, you still got some really good life in your 30s to enjoy your property. Um, maybe a business that you created or started or who knows what and sit back and enjoy life. You hopefully, if you're still working, you put a little equity in your 401k or your IRA or whatever. With the IRA, it's limits on when you can pull that out, but your 401k, I mean, you may can sit back and enjoy a little bit for us be at a little bit of financial ease if you're budgeting correctly. But for some of us that started late in the game, we have to either have it have some worth selling to say we can get started or already at least got halfway started before we decided to do it. Money is very tight, and I think money is tight for a lot of people. I'm not a believe the hype type of person. You get on social media and you hear a lot of people tomorrow, 100,000. I make 100,000. Look here, tell anybody that. But from what is being shown around the world, it's not too many people that's sitting here making 150,000, $250,000, and you still having to work a job, and you've been on the no, you're not. But it is what it is. Some people believe what they want to believe, and some people need to believe that, to make themselves feel more important. It's not a rant or putting anyone down kind of thing. It's just saying that it's more for I'm not at that point in my life financially where I can see me being what you would consider off grid. Now, I can always see myself doing some homesteading. Now, I am limited, and that is my stressor because the things that I want to do, I can't do because this is not my land. And the things that I want to build, I can't do it because this is not my land. So those are the things that really keeps me stressing because this has been a conversation that I've been trying to have with my husband, which we have an age gap. That it was something that we should have been doing when I first spoke of it, so we could be prepared for things like this here that's going on. We could probably have the land, pay for the land, who knows what. But the thing of it is, it's like you don't cry over spilled milk. You just you go from where you're at, and you do what you can where you're at, and just be prepared for hopefully that day will come. And if it don't, because I'm gonna tell you, in my opinion, that day's gonna come, whether I own land or not, whether someone own land or not, because of the way the economy is going. A lot of us are going to be forced to have to use alternative source resources because everything is so extremely high. We got things going overseas going on. We got things that we're getting involved in that it's not our fight. That we're gonna get the repercussion of. We're gonna it's the back blow of it, right? And some of us are already getting the back blow with the high gases, high foods. Now they got things going wrong with the vegetables, things going wrong with the water. It's really, really crazy and it makes things scary. And for those that's already self-contained or already had already started their prepping or preparations for being able to live sustainably or on their property, being able to set up their rain catchment systems. Like some of us, we don't have that. We don't have it because we we get told it's against regulations or policy or rules or whatever. You can't do this, you can't do that. But and that's my thing is why I really would like to have my own land to be able to do some of the things that I want to do. Right? I don't want people telling me I can't have a rain catchment system or I can't have solar because this is not my property and I can't have this and this ice, stuff like that. They do get stressful, you know. Also, just even having that kind of stuff in this, what you would consider the neighborhood, you don't want nobody stealing your stuff that you invested money in, right? So you just don't know. It's just one of those things. You don't want to have to worry about your neighbors that's not keeping their yard maintenance up, and you are, but there's critters just everywhere, and they're attracted to all that filth and ass and stuff. You have to deal with that. I don't like being this close to people because you just have no sense of privacy. That is some of my reasons I would like to have my own land. Again, not necessary to be off grid, but well, at least I can prepare for it if I want to. It could be an option if I want to. I need some AC. And I do know they have minutes, but I know they have solar minutes, but I know they have things, ways to cool you down. But when you don't have the funds to do that at this present time, you can't foresee that at right now, right? And I think that's what holds a lot of people up for even attempting. Not that they don't want to. And it's not necessarily that they're scared. It's like you're stuck in a situation that you just really can't get out. Some people are between jobs. I'm fortunate that I don't work for anyone, but I have ways of making money. I do have my own uh loan signing and notary business, right? So I do that, and I can work on my own time. As long as I'm in the state of Texas, I can work all over the state of Texas. So as far as in the state of Texas, I can anywhere in Texas I can work. I can do business. My husband can't. He's been on his job 15 years plus. His second job, he's been on it 4 years. So, that's a big jump, or a big thing to ask him to walk away from the main source of income at this point, right? We're in the city. We don't even work a hundred miles from our jobs or his place of work, but you got cars that's paid for, that's broke down, that's getting repaired. Like money have to go in other places, and those that know understands, right? That sometimes things happen, and you have to adjust accordingly. You know, in the meantime, while you're repairing stuff, you got bills still going. You still have to get back and forth to work. You still have the new rates or new or whatever the prices are going up. So yes, for some people it is a little harder. Not always that they made bad decisions or anything like that. Sometimes things just happen, right? Um, yeah. Just we're gonna move on to something else. I think you get the logistics of kind of why I would want kind of be on my own land, not necessarily off grid. So, slight backstory of me, because a lot of people, those that do know me, that has followed me, yeah, you follow me through my gardening or whatever, and I've made a lot of good friends, through the process. Some we keep in touch, and some we don't. And back in 2002, I had a medical procedure performed on me that took me out, and I was told I probably wasn't going to make it. If I did, I was going to be brain damaged or a vegetable. And at that time, my kids was very, very young, three, 7, and 8. And my 7-year old is totally blind, been blind since birth. So I'm a young mom, young wife. At the time, I was 29, and I'm sitting here fighting for my life, right? So being in a coma for 2 months, having to learn how to walk and do a whole lot of things for 3 months, then declared disabled, and still being declared disabled. But I lived that life for 9.5 years. I had to rebuild myself from the ground up, learn to walk again, learn to breathe. I was on oxygen for 2 years, you know, while trying to raise, my young children and be a wife. I just had too much to fight for, right? And I've always been a go getter. I've always been a provider, and that changed. It changed my life. I've never shared this, I don't think, on a social media platform before, but I still had a fire in my bones, right? Because I just did not like the fact that these doctors said I would never work again in my life. Right. So I did. I went through a whole legal process, whatever. Just so much went down with that was just unjust and unfair. But I had to live with it and just be thankful that I was able to be here to raise my kids. Right. Yes, it was something recouped, but it wasn't anything. Because as you know, I had to go back to work eventually. Couldn't live on disability, the rest of my life. Right. It just wasn't doable. And I wasn't a person that was in the system or wanted to be on the system because I was just here used to working. I was working 2 jobs, trying to go back to school so I can, have my career. So I didn't have to work those 2 jobs ever in my life. I always had goals, and then from there I had to switch my major in college and go for something else and do something else. Even though I had always done that all my life, I'm just going to put some paper behind it. And again, something happened within that. And I've always felt like God said, no, that's not what I want you to do. I'm like, well, what do you want me to do? Because right now, I'm trying to be, productive, a human being. And, I went through almost 10 years of during the time I was healing, and I switched locations from, let me say 2003-ish, 2003-ish to 2000 and, mm, 13 maybe, probably it was like 10 years, okay, because 9.5 years I was declared disabled. I was literally living disability, and I decided to go back to work. But within that, in that moment that I decided to go back to work, I stopped doing music management with my son and other artists, young artists that I was working with back home. So I was kind of dipping and dabbling in the indie music scene. So of course I really loved it. I got a chance to meet a lot of people. I got a chance to do a lot of things with a lot of people, and I would say still to this day I have a lot of respect in that business with those people. But it's been a while. You know, I would say when I say that I haven't burnt bridges, I put it like that. But I just don't do that scene anymore. Um, Sometimes I'm sad about it because at that time I was helping my son pursue his dreams. And if you watch some of my videos before or been on one of my lives before, you got a chance to meet him. He's on there. Very, very talented. But like I said, that was long story short, a lot of things happen. You know, I put a lot of things before me, my wants and my goals, my desires. But here it is, I'm a parent, right? So we live for our kids. We try to do things to make sure our kids have a chance at life and but not realizing that I was putting a lot of my wants and desires, you know, on back burner. And I'm not saying just for for this particular child in question. I'm just saying just throughout period, being a wife, being a mom, being uh, a daughter, being a niece, being a sister, you know, you're constantly giving out and helping others and you're not putting yourself first. And when you do decide to finally put your foot down and you look to your left and right, you don't have any of these same people to count on to have your back or show support for something you want to do. So for you guys that are young, that's out there, that's chasing your dreams, you're doing a good thing. Because I do believe that once your kids do grow up and leave your home, it's up to you and your spouse. And if you burn bridges with your spouse trying to satisfy your kids, when your kids leave home, you're going to be by yourself. I believe that wholeheartedly. It is written. Now, I'm not saying ignore your kids, but God says put your spouse is before your kids. It's God, your spouse, and your kids. It didn't say because you put your spouse first, you're second to God, that your kids is less than or not worthy or anything of that sort. We keep getting that twisted. But we are to take care of our spouse first. Without when we taking care of our spouse first, we automatically take care of our kids. You know? Um, I'm not saying it's not any strange people out there that do the opposite. But yeah. So right now, like I said, it's just me and my husband and we're trying to balance today's situation. Like you would think empty nesters, it's just us two, which he do have one more minor child. Um and she's a junior now. So outside of that, but she doesn't stay with us, right? But outside of that, it's just us. And it's terrible when it's just you two with no extracurricular activities. You're having to work two jobs apiece just to make ends meet. Now, I know some areas pay more than others, but we're where we're at, and then we're where we're at not because of lack of experience or lack of work ethics or anything of the sort. We're just where we're at. You know, we have no control of the economy. We have no control of our lot. We have no control of So you have people that say, well, that's your decision. That's your choice. That's you whatever cards you're dealt with, you have to do with it as you please, right? You have to act accordingly. And I just take anything that's appears to be negative. I can sit here and cry about it. I can sit here and boo hoo and say unfair, unfair, unfair. Because there's a lot of things I can say I would felt like it's been unfair in my life. But one thing I will say that's never been unfair. The person that I have faith in, the person that I worship, the person that I call my heavenly Father, he's never forsaken me. I may not be where I want to be, but I'm where I probably need to be according to him. I'm not living out no one else's dreams. I'm living off mine. And I say that with all that to say that when the doctor said I wasn't going to make it in 2002, they had to said they rights. They did call my family from all over the states that they stayed in to speak their last goodbyes, right? And me not knowing I'm even going through this year because I'm in a coma. I don't know. I don't know what's going on. I wake up with tubes everywhere. I don't know, you know. But for man to say that I'm not going to be right. They didn't. They said that I'm either not going to make it because my organs were shutting down. I'm either going to be severely brain damaged or I'm going to be a vegetable. And no, my girl said, no, she's not. Mm. So for me, I feel like I have so much to be appreciative of that I don't have a lot to complain about outside of the ordinary, what we all deal with. But I still try to look at that as a positive because some people still have less than I have. I sit here and stress out. I used to be so OCD, but I sit here stressed out because I don't feel like certain things is in order where I want it to be or how I want it to be. I have to take a step back and say, you know what? What are you stressing for? What are you stressing for? Because you could be out there on the streets. You could be out there in the heat. What are you stressing for? So even though I would love to have my own land and be able to make my own rules at times, I also have to be thankful for what I have. And when I feel like if it's for me, I will provide a way. Now that don't mean I'm not trying to make a way. It's just saying that I'm not gonna sit here and jump through a certain hoop that's gonna put me in a worse situation because it's a possibility. What if I go do all that stuff, get this land? I'm saying me, I'm not saying nobody else, and then I lose it. I don't have the money to pay it outright, so just say I lose it. I'm not gonna go sit here out here and try to buy land just to impress someone else or society or anything like that. If that's not in the budget, that's not in the cards, I'm not gonna do it. So I work with what I have. You know, although I have a lot of roadblocks where I live, I still do what I can do. So if and when that time comes that I'm able to do it, then I have that skill to do it. You know, so but that was a little backstory. I know I kind of went on a left ramble. That's a little backstory of why I just never really just jumped the gun because there was times where I really could have jumped the gun and said the heck with my husband on whatever he want to do. But I have to think about, like how far is that medical facility? Can I withstand severe cold or severe heat, in those environments? Because I can't take it here where I'm at. So I'd be dumb if I go just say like out west where I would want to go. And I would want that would be one of my choices because I want to get out of Tornado Alley, right? But I don't want to be so isolated to where it's going to take me a long time to get to help. you know, um, and I have to consider I don't want to be somewhere where I can't have AC, even if I can do it through solar. Things do have. I want to have those backup plans and those systems in place, and in order to do that, you have to have funds. The first year or two, you're gonna have to have those funds to build that infrastructure. And right now, I don't have it to start. Probably get the land with no money down and this and that, and you pay your first month. I could probably do that. But you have to think about all those months afterwards. And the type of work I do, I'm on a if you understand it, you'll understand it. I don't want to just really get in detail with how everything goes because that's not this ramble. But was smart enough in the process of me learning how to do all this other stuff was get into something that I can do at my own pace. Because it go down with what I was saying about the gardening that I made my raised elevated beds because I knew eventually I would get older and I don't want to. be seeing myself at a certain age trying to get on the ground to pull weeds or pull things out. I know my body, I know my health situation, I know where that's going to lead, and I know what I'm dealing with today. Oh, I'm not broke down or anything like that, but I have my days where I just don't feel like it, right? And or my body, or I listen to my body. I listen to my body. I'm not sitting here. I'm not 20 anymore. I'm not going to try to pump this, pump that, do this, do this. I can't do that. And I commend those that is in good shape that can do it. And I'm so excited to see, women out there, doing their thing. I'm so supportive of that because I remember those days when I was able to do things like that. Now I can still do a lot of stuff. I just can't do it as fast. That's just what it is. And then those stupid glasses, let me tell you, when I get sweaty, these things start sliding and slide. And then I have my contacts and I can't read with them. God forbid. I can read a little bit with them. I don't have time for it. So anyway, I did a little rambling, and I hope this was like an insightful chit chat because this is going to be at least 30. No, it's going to be longer than that. It's going to be at least an hour. And again, for those that get a chance to watch it and made it to the end, thank you. But I kind of threw update as well as a little chit chat. So yeah, if you have any questions, leave them in the comments and I'll get back with you and answer what I can. And again, like I said, just go back and watch some. If anything, just go back and watch some of my old videos because I don't make them as often, today, but they help. And just to let me know that you got a chance to watch them. All right. Until the next update, it may be forever, it may be soon. But thank you. Like, share, and subscribe. And leave a comment if you choose to. And have a great day.